Brand new for the second half of 2022, we have the 50th anniversary AP Royal Oak in the 41 millimeter steel model, and we're going to compare it to the previous generation 41 millimeter, the 15500 ST. I'm Michael from SwissWatchExpo, and we've got a real treat for you today. This is the newly released for the second half of 2022, 50th anniversary Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet. And the reference number for this one is 15510 ST, where the previous one was 15500 ST. So at first glance, you might think they look exactly the same. What's the difference, Michael? But Penny tells me that there's a lot of differences that she noticed when she was photographing them. When you look at the case back, the 50th anniversary model, it does have a 50th right there in the negative work on the rotor. And again, you might think that's the only difference because it's the only one that really jumps out at you. The previous model, this one's unworn, so it's got a lot of plastic all over it, but you can see that it has the AP logo in a gold rotor. And so at first glance, I see how you could definitely make that mistake. But there's a lot of small changes that they've made to this model. Since it first came out in 1972, from the design of Gerald Genta as the first modern steel sport watch, it caused a revolution, as you well know, I'm sure by now. But they have made continuous improvements to it over the years. Starting in 1976, they made a lot of little improvements, changes to the model. It has remained an absolute icon, and the main design elements have stayed exactly the same. But part of what they did with this 50th anniversary release is what they're terming a ergonomic improvement to the watch. And when you look at it, it starts with the bezel. The bezel on the previous one, the bevel that's high polished, that gives you that play of light, they made it a little wider on the new one so that it gives you a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more play of the light when you're looking at it. They continued that to the case back as well. So the case back bevel is larger now than it used to be, and that makes it a little bit more comfortable to wear, but it also gives a different look to the case back when you're seeing the craftsmanship in that movement. That, of course, is one of the main things you're paying Audemars Piguet money for. The dial itself, again, they look very similar when you first take a look at it, but on the previous model, the minute track was printed on a chapter ring outside of the dial. And the dials themselves, with this grand tapisserie design where they use a vintage guilloche duplicating machine that has an extremely high level of dexterity and craftsmanship to be able to even make these dials. But I can't even imagine the care that has to go into printing the minute track on the edge of this dial that has such a sort of an undulating design to it where it moves up and down, and yet they printed it right on the dial. So the dial seems to go a little bit more all the way edge to edge to the bezel versus the previous one that was made a little smaller by the chapter ring. We also see a huge difference in the logo. Now again, at first look, you'd think it looks the same. The older one says AP and then Audemars Piguet below that on sort of a little plate that's affixed to the dial. The anniversary edition, they've done away with the AP, and the Audemars Piguet looks like it's a little bit more integrated into the dial. So I did some research on how they did that. It is an amazing process. It took them 3 years just to develop the method to be able to produce this logo. And what they do, it's similar to 3D printing, but it's in 24 karat gold. And so it's layer upon layer upon layer of 24 karat gold built up to this logo that then has feet attached so that it can attach to the dial of the watch. Each letter is connected by a piece of this 24 karat gold that is about as thick as a human hair. So amazing, and you should definitely get out your loupe and look at the logo when you buy this watch. Another difference is they have tried to homogenize the look of the hands and the hour markers across the line of the Royal Oaks. So if you look at the hands and the hour markers, there has been a slight change. They're a slightly different size. The lume looks a little bit different. I think it's an improvement. Again, one that I wouldn't have probably noticed at first if I just glanced at the watch, But when you see them side by side, the newer design of the hands and hour markers really do look superior to me. Of course, there's always going to be differences of opinion. Anytime a company from this sort of high-end watch area releases a new model, there's always going to be people who pine for the old one and say, I liked everything better about the old one. It's too bad they're not making that one anymore. And then there'll be people who only want the newest one. One of the interesting things is they're only going to be making this one with that 50th anniversary logo in the rotor through 2022. So apparently January 1st, it's over. Unless you were already on the wait list at an AP dealer and one of their best friends from having spent a lot of money with them, you're probably not going to be able to get one of these at an AP dealer. But we have it in stock here at SwissWatchExpo and the previous model, Unworn, if you're interested in that one. So give us a call. You can always click on our website on the search bar. You can type in 50th anniversary and this watch will pop right up. But you can also look through all of the Royal Oaks we have in stock. We have probably the best collection of them I've ever seen anywhere at SwissWatchExpo.com.